So, hey there, hi there, ho there, kiddo.
Kiddos. Why are they kiddos?
This is, that's just what that's what I say to it. You know what, I said this to some people, before, and they were deeply offended. Deeply offended that I called them kiddos, and I was kind of got by that sentiment that you're really that's just how I talk, and I apologize for that if that does offend somebody. That's kind of it feels
I
like
was
it's just
joking. I didn't mean that.
well, it's a strange thing to get upset about, so I don't understand that myself, but I'm a little different than most. But you'll notice up front from this gameplay that we are.
Are you gonna introduce us? Because I interrupted your sign-in.
Oh, I apologize. This is this is I like the games, and this is Cap, and this is Baby Girl, and this is us doing a little something different that normally, that we haven't done before. That a thing that I would like to do for the future, and I'd like to do it a lot more often, and that is movie reviews. Not necessarily. This one's not necessarily a movie review, but this is more of a movie juxtaposition, comparing the two.
Yeah.
So, can you tell the audience what we're talking about? What comparisons, contrasts, and stuff, like what we're talking about here?
The movie?
Mm-hmm.
The one is A Man Called Otto, and the other I don't remember the name. And we just watched it.
Gran Torino.
Yeah, that.
I would say up front, the biggest flaw with Gran Torino is that the kid, Toad, as he calls him in the game, as he calls him in the movie, is he's a terrible actor. And I hate to say that out loud, but it's true, and it sucks, and he's an integral part of the movie, and I mean, you grow to like him in the movie, and there's several scenes where he's very, adorable, and he's funny, and he's...
I thought he was great.
Yeah, you just, you like him, and you can't not like him,
You grow to like him.
But then the one scene where he gets locked in, and he's swearing at Clint Eastwood. That's the guy's name. Where he's swearing at Clint Eastwood, and he's beating on the thing.
Walt.
Where he's swearing at Walt, and I was just like, this is the worst.
Yeah, that part of acting was horrible.
It was really, really bad. But the movie was written and directed by Clint Eastwood.
Alert.
Do what?
You didn't do the spoiler alert.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is 100% spoiler alert. We're talking about how the movies begin, middle, and end. We are 100% talking about how the movies are. We're not pulling any punches, and we're absolutely not under any circumstances are we trying to not tell you exactly what just happened. So if you haven't seen these two movies, I would not recommend watching this. I would go out of my way. I would say that A Man Named Otto, starring
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, I was gonna say starring Forrest Gump, is, in my opinion, in our opinion, I think is very similar to Gran Torino.
Oh, most definitely.
It was just, if Gran Torino was, like, if a man named Otto was rated R, it could be Gran Torino. You know?
Yeah.
Like that sort of vibe.
They're both cranky old men who just lost their wives.
I mean, the major difference is that Otto doesn't have a family. So he inherits a family.
Yeah.
And in Gran Torino, he has a family, but doesn't care for them much. And they don't care for him much, which is a sad fact. And, I mean, not that he's a lovable dude.
Well,
He's very assuredly not a lovable man.
yeah. But throughout the movie, you can see that he becomes a lovable man.
Well,
Taking up for the boy by getting the girl home safe.
well, but in saying that, like, can you not imagine that he was not at least somewhat that way with his boy children? Like, he had 2 sons. And can you imagine that he didn't even at least try to do those things with them?
I mean,
You know? Like when you look at the movie and you think to yourself, like, can you not imagine that he at least tried, you know? Like, it bothers him. I mean, in the one confessional that he gives,
he talks about how he wasn't close with his son.
and it bothers him.
And, yeah.
Like, he actively, I believe it's a thing.
Or a man that was in the war, killed how many? 13 people?
Yeah, he said he killed 13 or more, yeah.
But not having a relationship with his sons was his biggest problem.
That, like murdering people was not the issue that bothered him. It was the not having a relationship with his children. Which really tells you about a man, you know, that, like, this is the thing that bothers me or doesn't bother me, you know. And with Otto, what do we think? Like, what drove him to be this way? I mean, it was the, like, already.
Otto experienced a lot of loss whenever he was young.
Is that from, because, okay, I have to say this, I have to preface it with this. She's read the book, I have not read the book, so I do not know about that bit. So if it was beyond...
Yeah, I guess it doesn't say in the movie, does it?
It doesn't talk about his childhood at all, no.
It just talks... Well, it says that he lost his dad while they're out to dinner, whenever he takes his wife out for their first date. He said that he just lost his dad weeks prior, and he never knew his mom.
Yeah.
And that's, like, all the movie really tells you. But...
I mean, is there more to it than that? Is it something that we're not getting here?
I mean, in the book, his dad raises him because his mom died from something. I don't remember what she died from. So just the dad took care of him, and that's all he knew. And then his dad died whenever he was a young teenager, 16, 15. And then he met his wife.
Well, that's when he signed up for the army, right?
Yeah, and then he couldn't do the army because of his heart condition.
Did they say that up front in the book, or did they make you guess right up to the end as to what was the problem? Like, was it still a big joke that he has too big of a heart at the end?
It was still a joke, yeah.
Like, as a curmudgeon old man.
Yeah, it
like,
was
he
still
had
a
too
joke.
big of a heart.
In the movie, her name, the neighbor that moved in, her name was Marisol. In the book, her name's like Pervana or something like that. And she still thought it was funny because he was dying from this condition where his heart is too big, but he's a mean old man.
I mean, it's ironical. It's the best way to present a story, I think. I think both movies are written very well in the sense that the main character is a guy that you can both absolutely dislike and never want to be around in real life, but also love to pieces because you want to watch him, you know? Like, do you want to go hang out with Walt? You know?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Do you want to go hang out with Otto?
Oh, yes.
You do? Okay.
Definitely, yes.
Well, maybe we're different, but that's just the type, you know, they create.
Well, they make me think of my grandpa.
And that's fair. That's fair. You have that, but...
Like, Otto makes me think of my grandpa on my mom's side. And then Wally makes me think of my pappy on my dad's side.
If he's not Wally, he's
It's Walt.
He's Mr. Kowalski. Like, he's not... He doesn't give a shit about you or the people around you, so he's not like your grandpa.
No.
Like, if he was your grandpa, I'd be like, oh, I can relate this to my grandpa, but, like, just a dude that is a grandpa that has that sort of curmudgeon-y aspect of him, is like, that's the type of dude that's like, oh, I've worked in customer service almost my entire life, so it's like, that's the guy you don't want to wait on. Like, did you buy a rope to hang yourself, and you're arguing with me over the price?
Over the price, yeah, that was in the
yeah.
book as well.
That's too much. Like, that's too much.
Well, he always saved and made sure he had enough money, and that's part of it in the book, that he was frugal.
Frugal, yeah.
On him and his wife's spending habits. Not that him or his wife would go out and do things, but whenever...
No, they went to the one place one time a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, to get the kugels or whatever the fuck they were?
Yeah, like the dessert things. But they also had coffee, and in the book, they went every week. And they would sit there for hours because she liked watching people.
Ah.
And in the movie, it just says they went every Saturday 1 to 2. Like, whenever the clock struck 2, he automatically got up, and Marisol's like, oh, we're leaving. And she hurries up and gets her things.
Well, I mean, they didn't say that in the movie. But
they did.
I mean, no, they didn't.
Yeah, because he was talking about his wife, and...
Well, Marisol gets up and gets her things, but I think you get the impression right up front that if Otto wanted to do something, and his wife wanted to do something different...
They did what his wife wanted.
They were doing what his wife wanted.
Yeah.
And I think up front, even though Walt... in Gran Torino is an old bastard, that if his wife wanted to do something, that's what they do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the end, period, that's what's happening. You know,
well, you do that for me, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's...
For the most part. For the most part.
Part of that's just love, but I mean, part of that is it's an interesting...
And I think both of those men dearly love their wives. You can tell from Otto, because the book is a man called Ove, and the movie is a man called Otto. But he truly loved his wife and would do things just to please her.
Well,
We don't really get any more information about
you get the
Walt's
same
wife.
You get the same thing from Walt, is the fact that he's like, I went to church every Sunday because she wanted to.
Because she wanted me to.
Yeah. And I think that the difference, like you said, well, I do this for you. I mean, I think the difference is that we're people that are similar. And in the case of them, it's the idea of a loving, nurturing, caring, wonderful person with a rotten curmudgeon, and she's the thing that brings out that in him. I think that's where the two characters kind of hit their stride, if I'm being honest.
Well, they say that Sonia was Otto was her name, Sonia.
Sorry.
I was going somewhere with that and I forgot.
They say that Sonia was Otto's what?
Oh, they were complete different. She was the day and he was the night.
Yeah, well, they say that in the movie too, and
like her friends would laugh and be like, "We don't understand why you're with him." And then behind closed doors, he's like, "Hey, I built you this bookshelf with my bare hands just for you, just for your books." And then he went in the kitchen after the bus wreck where she became paralyzed and they lost their baby. He rebuilt the kitchen so she could get around in the kitchen in her wheelchair.
So who do we think is the better husband?
Well, that's the thing. We really don't know anything about Walt's wife and the things that he did for her.
Well, you've heard what he has to say. We both have a pretty strong characterization between the two and how much they care about each other. So we're just.
I mean, it's really hard to say which one cared more about their wife because they both did things.
No, I didn't say who cared more about their wife. That's not the question I asked.
What's your question?
Who do you think was the better husband?
Oh, I think it's comparing apples and oranges. Just like if you look at my and your relationship.
You think it's comparing apples and oranges? We literally just talked about how both the husbands are oranges. Like, if both the husbands are oranges, who is the better orange? That's what I
don't think either one of them is the better orange. I think they both are wonderful oranges, and they deserve to have that happiness in their life while it lasted.
To be really honest with you, you're terrible at arguing.
Why?
Because you don't. I would say, like, so.
Just because I know more about. Because I read the book, and I don't know if Gran Torino has a book. But just because I read the book, I'm going to say Otto. Because it goes more into the details about their life. And in Gran Torino, yes, you know, she died shortly before the movies take place because it literally starts at her funeral. And then you just hear that he did things for her because she wanted him to. He went to church because of her. But that's like all you hear about why he did things.
But that's what he wanted to do.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, he said it to the priest.
But he wanted to do it because it would make his wife happy.
No, he said, I met the love of my life and I made the love of my life happy.
And Ove did the same. Otto did the same thing.
I mean, I can't help but to say it's Walt. I can't help but to say it's Walt. It's like, who is the better husband? I just can't. Who cared more? That's a different story. You can't say who cared more. But who is the better husband? Who went out of their way to make sure? Because, you know, Otto has friends.
No.
Otto had friends.
He talked to the neighbor, and him and the neighbor fought. That was the relationship with the neighbor.
But in the same turn, Walt doesn't have any friends.
Not in the beginning of the movie.
He doesn't have any friends by the end of the movie.
No, he told the
'Cause
boy.
he's dead.
He told the boy that he was his friend.
Spoiler alert.
They both die, though.
I don't know.
Walt died because he went and ended the gang, whatever.
So what would you...
And Ove died because his heart condition took him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Walt would have died because of his lung condition.
Exactly. He would have died anyway.
So...
That just sounded really bad to say.
So what would your... I don't know. I'm not going to ask you which movie is better, and I'm not going to say that we were asking like about the most loving husband, and we were talking about who does this or who could do that, and there's a lot of unknowns. We just don't know. But I'm just going to ask. So what would you say is the... Because I think each movie has a specific message. And I think the reason why we talked about these two movies at the same time is because they both have very similar messages.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I'm right on that?
Yeah, dear.
So, what would you say if you had to give, what is the message for one, what is the message for the other, and then what would be the joint message?
Oh, I hate doing that.
Because, well, there's a... Stop whispering, please.
I don't like doing the messages.
Well, like, what would be the message for... What would be the message for Gran Torino? Like, what would you think that the audience should take away? Like, what do you think that they were going for? Do you want me to give you mine on that one first, and then you give yours, and then you give yours first on Otto, and then I give mine? We're gonna do that?
Sure.
I think that it is... You realize up front that violence begets violence. And I think that's sort of what he even talks about with the priest. Early on in the movie, and then later on in the movie when he talks about life and death. And I believe that a big part of the movie is that you can't connect with people, you can't understand what's going to happen in the future if you're holding on to everything that's in the past. I firmly believe that the movie was about just trying to let go of a lot of stereotypes and violence and awful and things that they just hurt people. If it happened in the past, then it's in the past. It's not helpful for you to dwell on it now. And I truly believe that's what that movie's about, more so than anything else. And they picked, and when I say they, I mean the main character in the movie who wrote and directed it, picked himself to be the number one racist asshole in the movie, who's being changed now, which does kind of make me think that, like, this whole time his wife is sitting there next to him thinking, this asshole. which is fine, but this asshole is gonna go across the street to a Chinese woman's house or a Hmong woman's house or whatever it is and pick up her groceries. And he absolutely will. And he was going to do that before.
He was going to, and then what wasn't Toad?
Yeah.
Went across the street.
Well,
and
but
did
he
it.
was going to do that, and I'm sure that he would have done that even when his wife was alive. Like, he would have done that, and it didn't matter what color that you were. That part didn't matter. It was just, like, what do I need to do for other people? Because there's just a modicum of respect and decency, and I think, honestly, that's what these two men have in common more than anything else, is that there's a certain part of you that realizes you hold the door open for ladies.
Yeah.
You walk up the stairs from behind, you walk down the stairs ahead, you walk on the outside of the sidewalk. That's just the thing that you do as a man.
Man.
Well, it's just a thing
the
that
way
you do.
You said man.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know, I'm not trying to act like I'm the most manly man in the world, because I'm not. And can I fix all the things? I absolutely can't. But you know what? If I can, I'll try. And I think that both these men have that bit in common. I think that's the main juxtaposition between the two films. And I think that
they both are gentlemen and they know
hardships. That there's a part of me that thinks that Walt does it better, but then there's the hardcore racism that Walt has.
Yeah. Well, in the book, Otto was very similar. Like that coffee shop they show in the movie, it wasn't just a little coffee shop ran by that family, that lady that was in there. No, it was ran by, I'm going to say it wrong, so I apologize, but an Asian descent person, a Muslim maybe, and he had a gay son, and the gay son was friends with that transgender person
that's where
in the
that
book.
comes into the film. Okay.
Well, the transgender person was Sonia's student, and Sonia taught the hard, the reckless, the children that didn't want to be there. And by the end of the school year, she had her kids reading Shakespeare's whenever the rest of the teachers and the principals and everybody in the school gave up on them.
Were they reading Shakespeare's?
Yes, they were reading Shakespeare's.
How many Spears were they reading?
All of them.
All of the Shakespeare.
All of the Spears.
All of the Spears.
I was hoping you didn't catch it.
There was Spears, and they were pole vaulting later, and there's lots of Spears. No, I firmly believe that I mean it's a trope. If we're being honest, it's the idea that you didn't understand what you had till you lost it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the idea that you don't understand things that are different from you until you experience it.
Mhm.
And I think both movies are very beautiful, and I really enjoy both of them. But, well, first of all, it's very difficult to play this video game and also try to talk about all this. We're just being... That's why I have a lot of ums and a lot of I'm not sure. I'm not playing the video game well.
All in all, I agree with you what you mean by the meaning of Gran Torino.
Yeah, I think it's all about what am I trying to say? Just violence begets violence, and racism, hate, that creates more hate. Like, hate only breeds hate. Like,
absolutely.
My favorite part of the movie, honestly, is the best message for anybody is when they steal his tools, or break his tools, or whatever, burn him with a cigarette, and then he
talking
says,
about the boy, not...
Yeah. And they take his tool. What the hell's that kid's name? Toad.
He calls him Toad.
Yeah,
I can't think of his
when
name.
they take Toad's towel.
Towel.
When they take Toad's stuff, he says it's no big deal that you lost that stuff.
Mhm.
But if you need more, go into my garage and borrow it.
Yeah.
And he starts to walk away. And then turns around and says, "Oh, I actually need a tack hammer."
No, a roof hammer.
I think it was a tack hammer.
He said a roof hammer.
I don't give a damn.
It was a hammer of
Killing me.
But yeah, and whenever he said that he needed the hammer, Walt was like, "Go get it."
He said, "Good, good."
He did say good.
He said, "Good, good." And then he zoomed in on his face, and he was like legitimately happy.
Yeah.
Because it was, I mean, you have a choice. Like, regardless of what you're doing, you always have a choice. And that choice can be, you can be part of this cycle, or you cannot.
Mhm.
And
up until his sister got hurt, Toad decided not to be part of that cycle. He didn't want to be part of the gang. The whole thing started because he tried to become one of the gang members, and his initiation, is that correct?
Yeah.
Was to steal Walt's car.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if we're comparing this back to a man called Otto, or a man named Otto,
A man called Otto.
then it does, because they even do the same thing with the cars, babe. Ford, and then Toyota. And
Yeah.
they
Because
literally...
in the book, Ove was all for a car called, I might say it wrong, so I apologize. Saab? Saab?
Yeah, I have no fucking clue on that.
Yeah, well, the book was also taking place in London. It wasn't here in the States. It was across seas somewhere. But, and the neighbor, I can't think of the neighbor's name, he would always get the brand new, shiny new car, and Otto always stuck to the stab and always did the stab. Like, even, like, the movie ends with him buying this big pickup truck, brand new pickup truck, that wasn't part of the book. He helped the transgender kid buy a new vehicle.
Oh, so that's no. See, because if you do it the American way, then it's talking about the difference between foreign and domestic, and that's what his big problem was. And it showed Otto to be racist as fuck. Yeah, that was and so that wasn't in the book.
No, Otto was very racist. He was. I love that book. It's probably one of my favorites. But he was very racist. Like, he called Parvana racial slurs.
Okay. I was like,
and
watch
then
your words.
I was watching.
Say, watch your words.
And then, like, anybody that wasn't, because in the movie he calls everybody an idiot. And basically in the book he says idiot a lot, or stupid, or something along that line. But, like, the coffee shop owner, he was Muslim, or some sort of different race than he was. With the transgender son, or the gay son.
Place?
I don't remember. Well, I'll have to look.
In Europe?
Something like that. But, he even calls the coffee shop owner racial slurs in the book. And the coffee shop owner's like, what's your problem, Hick? And just does it right back. Because Otto, I don't think Otto was American. His wife was also Hispanic. And I think that's why he eventually loved Parvana and her family. Marisol and her family. It's really hard because they changed the names in the books and in the movie.
Well,
but I think because Marisol Parvana is the way she is, it made him think of Sonia. And it goes more into detail about the kid, the boy in the tracksuit.
Do you really think so? Do you really? Because I never got that impression. Do you really think that he thought that Marisol was like his wife?
Not like his wife, but similar, yeah.
No, I never got that impression at all. I thought that she was very dissimilar to his wife. I thought she was way more abrasive than his wife. I thought that it was her that brought him out of the shell that he'd been in, that his wife had allowed him to be in for a lot of years. That's just kind of the way that I saw the movie. It's and I'm not saying it's right, but I just think that.
Well, this is also just our opinions on.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you what?
It doesn't matter if we're right or wrong. It's
Well, no,
opinions.
I never saw Marisol as being anything like his wife. Like, I don't think he ever saw her anything like that way. I don't think she ever was like that to him. I think she was a new entity when he didn't have anything else to grab a hold of. I think that's where him and Walt become the same person, and that is that they encountered something, a positive force outside of what they're used to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a positive force, it was a prevailing force. It was an attractive force. And in Walt's case, it was the little Asian chick and the little Asian dude. And they became a major part of his life, and their entire family became a major part of his life. In the case of Otto, it was the Hispanic and the American in the movie.
Marisol and her family.
And I don't think it was. I think it had very little to do with.
Otto fell for her kids. They would call him abuelo by the time halfway through the book, halfway through the movie. And Marisol was like, I'm sorry for them calling you that. And he straight up told her, don't you worry about what those kids call me. So he had a soft spot for the kids, but he was going to be a dad and didn't get to because of the bus accident.
Yeah, but he'd been around kids before that.
Really?
I mean, Earth has a lot of people. So I have to imagine that he was.
I don't think he was, though.
Not in that way, no.
I think he was more of a loner until Sonia came around.
And that is exactly my point.
And then he was with Sonia. They were going to have a baby. They lost the baby. She became paralyzed. Their friends, I can't even think of their name and it's bugging me. Their neighbors had a boy. He grew up and moved away. He moved to the States. Chris, I remember his name. But Chris moved up and moved to the States. And then they basically took in the little boy, the boy in the tracksuit. They, the wives, Sonia and the other wife, took care of the little boy.
The fucking weirdo in the tracksuit is somebody they took in? Is that what's happening?
More or less, yeah. His mom and him and his dad moved into one of the houses, the house between them. And the dad was abusive, and Otto and whatever his name went outside and heard it and went and knocked on the door and told him that he could leave or leave in a body bag, more or less. And they took care of the wife and the little boy ever since.
So it just builds more of a friendship between him and the black dude. Can't think what the hell the black dude's name is.
I know, that's my problem. I can't think of what his name is.
The paralyzed black dude.
He's not paralyzed.
What is he?
He's not paralyzed, but he gets one of those really bad old, like, Alzheimer's or dementia, and he just can't.
He can't move.
He can
move. That's not
move.
Alzheimer's. That's not dementia.
He can move.
Alright, getting off that topic. I would just say that, and I think we've ran this one for way too long. Alright, so here's what I would say. Up front. We agree that a man named Otto and Gran Torino are very similar movies.
Yes, definitely.
Just in the sense that it's literally two older men, curmudgeons,
Who just lost their wives.
who had found the love of their life.
Yeah.
And when they found the love of their life, that's what opened up, as Otto said, colors to life. And when there's no color to life, why do you want to be here? And I think they both said that to themselves. I think they both understood that.
Yeah.
And in unison, they both just didn't want anything to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Walt didn't necessarily hate everyone and everything.
Oh.
He hated change.
bitter man.
Any change, if it's not exactly how I saw it just yesterday, then it's the worst thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And I just think that's how he even said in the one scene, he said, I have killed. And that's the worst thing I'm ever going to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And they look just like you. And it was the worst thing that I'm ever going to
He
remember.
said it was a boy that looked just like you, your age.
And when he talked to the preacher, he said, it's the things you don't get asked to do that are the worst. His story is a little bit darker than Otto's. But they both met the woman of their dreams, and then they grew old with the woman of their dreams.
Yeah.
And then that woman died. And what can you ask from a man after that? And the answer is not much. I think it's spectacular the way they did both movies. I enjoy the way they did certain things. I just, with one dying for the cause and with the other
finding happiness and wanting to live, but his heart can't take it.
I don't think he wanted to live.
Not at first.
I don't think he wanted to live in general. I don't think when it was all said and done, I don't think he wanted to live. I think it was a part of him. I don't think Walt wanted to die. I don't think Otto wanted to die. I don't think either one of them wanted to die. I think it was just a bit that had to happen.
Yeah.
And they both knew it.
Either way, they were both really good, and I recommend for everybody to watch them.
Absolutely. That's an impressive deal. Well, we're gonna sign out because we've talked for too long, and I hope this isn't like the worst episode you've ever watched. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna stop saying sorry, this is the worst. I'm hoping that this will be an interesting reprieve from some of the actual just games.
And if anybody watched the movies, they could give us what they think about them.
Oh, absolutely. I would absolutely love if you leave in the comments exactly what you got
from the movie.
That'd be awesome. We're gonna make a follow-up to this. I would love to have this and some other comparing and contrasting movies and stuff. All I have to say is that
tonight.
she's lost focus and she realizes something happened on her phone, and she's playing a video game on that too. So we're video game people over here.
Not really video games, more of a puzzle.
But we love you guys. We're happy. We're happy to see you. We're happy to hear you. We're happy to hear from you. This is signing off. You go for it, baby girl.
Oh, over and out. This is baby girl. Over and out.
Over and out, guys.